Hello and welcome to another video. If you're new around here, subscribe. If you enjoy the video, like it. But you might not like the topic we're ready to discuss. Gonzo, Mr. Slaven Bilic is sort of the hot topic. The board have maybe overtook him recently, but he's still on the lips of everyone, sort of taking the blame for the transfer deadline day and that. Is his time up?
Yeah, I think his time is up. It was quite funny, really, with the transfer deadline day, because he did take quite a lot of stick yesterday. I was quite surprised. Now, don't get me wrong, we'll discuss what I don't like about Bilic's managerial style in a minute, but I thought he could probably get away with yesterday a little bit. But a lot of people were, I think, angry towards him for turning down certain players. There's just a discord between the fans. There's a discord between him and the fans. Sorry, I mean discord between him and the owners. I just don't see any way forward for him. I can't certainly. You know what? I can almost imagine a couple of people trying to start a chorus of Super Slav at the Huddersfield game and the song not really getting going. I think his time's up.
I think I struggle to see how he can come back from this. I do struggle to see how he can, even if he wins the next 4 games, I think it's only a case of, well, when you lose a couple, the gun comes back out a little bit. It reminds me very much of Sam Allardyce. We all knew Sam Allardyce was going at the end of his contract. There was always going to be a case of, your contract's up, thank you very much, see you later. I think their board are just hoping he can keep us up this year, just keep us safe, and we say cheerio at the end of the season. Do you feel sorry for him in any sort of way? Do you feel he's had a hard gig?
I don't think he's had a hard gig. I feel sorry for him because he seems a really nice man. We discussed just he looked like a broken man. I feel sorry for him because he's not as good as we want him to be. I'm desperate for him to be good, and he's probably not. Last night we discussed that there were some comments from the Birmingham fans before Golden Sullivan came to us. Well, obviously we've got a forum, so we get a lot of the views before a lot of things happen, and because it's a forum, a lot of it's very detailed. Well, we had the same thing before just as he signed for us and he left Besiktas. And a lot of the Besiktas fans were saying, look, we really love him. He's very passionate. He bought into the whole ethos of Besiktas, but he tactically wasn't very good. Well, that sounds very familiar again, doesn't it? And they won the league back to back as soon as he left, but they didn't win it with him. And I think Lokomotiv Moscow as well, he brought them down to their sort of record lowest finish. And I think it is quite sad because actually he has bought into the club. He appreciates the fans. We want him to do well. It's never nice watching somebody struggle, and he is struggling. So I do feel sorry for him in that, but not. I don't think everything is everybody else's fault. I just don't. I think he's not good enough. He's not tactically good enough. And I think sometimes when things are pointed out that he might need to improve, like playing players in certain position or parts of the backroom team that he might need to change, he doesn't do it. So a lot of his downfall is his fault.
Yeah, I have to say that's the most annoying thing is his repetitive mistakes. It's sort of like he's been digging his own grave for a while and he just keeps on digging it for some reason, rather than say, you know what, I'm not going to dig my own grave, I'm going to go do something. He seems to intend on keep digging away. And I think Slav's got all the characteristics you want in a manager, but I'm just not sure he's got all the skills you need. I don't think you can substitute skills for characteristics. You can do the other way about. You can tolerate someone that's you don't really like that much if he's putting the results. If he's getting the results and stuff, you can sort of put up with it for so long. But when it's the other way around, you really like him, blah, 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 but the results ain't there, the performances aren't there, it's very difficult to contend with it. And it's a shame, really, because I do think last year, I mean, I know we talk about how he did poor when he was in Russia and Turkey. That's probably why he was our owner's 5th or 6th choice manager, and he wasn't the first choice. But you have to, the flip side of it is he's had a record points total for West Ham when he was at West Ham in his first season. We had a record points total in the Premier League, so there has been success. But but he's been found out a little bit. Big time actually. He's been found out. But last year, I sort of gave him a free pass because he had all this stuff going on around him. They had the Payet thing. I think he dealt with that well. In all honesty, I think a lot of managers would have walked then. He's had the injury thing. He's had the stadium thing. But there's only so long you can give him a free pass for. And I thought the weird thing is there's 3 league games into this season, and we've almost gone through 3 stages of Slav. We've gone through Super Slav before the first game. Then we went to silly Slav when he kept doing the same things, and now we're at sack Slav. We've gone through the 3 stages of Slav already. I'm not sure I'm at sack Slav yet. I mean, I'm aware I'm a very big fan of, it's not just Bilic. I'm not just a big pro Bilic fan. I'm a pro manager fan. Ranieri at Leicester, Monk at Swansea. Them are the 2 prime examples. I think they were wrong to be sacked. I believe in loyalty. I believe in being loyal to your manager. I believe in being loyal to your players. I just think, how are you supposed to come up with a long-term plan if you're not keeping a manager for a long term? But anyway, the thing with Bilic is on Saturday at Newcastle, when the 3rd goal went in and what we'd just seen, I just thought, have I been taken for a mug here supporting Bilic all this time? And then there's a few other people asked them, and they said, well, no, you're supporting the manager. Of course you're not a mug, etc. But the people that I knew were also pro-Slav on that day were looking at me, and I was looking at them thinking, well, can't really defend him anymore. At Southampton, it looked like the dressing room, he had the dressing room. I mean, the funny thing is, I don't know if you remember December last year against Arsenal, I said to you, he's lost the dressing room. I said, it's not right.
Was that Harewood? We did the Harewood interview, yeah?
That dressing room is not playing for Bilic. I don't care what people said. And then the Payet thing came out, so I thought, okay, it was the Payet thing. There was something there. I'm starting to question if I was right the very first time in December, because it feels like it's a very disgruntled ship in that changing room. Because some of the players get free passes. How many chances is Sacco going to get? How many? Arbeloa got 1. Arbeloa did 1 thing out that door. Kevin Nolan, who was one of the main players at the club when Bilic come in, 1 thing, bang, out of here. But it's inconsistent, and it's very difficult to defend Bilic. But I can't help but feeling, Gonzo, that he's been thrown under a bus, and it doesn't matter who comes in after him, they're also going to go under that bus at some point, because we've got a chairman with an ego so big, he can't allow the manager to be more popular or be more successful than the chairman, if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe. I think there's a few things you can criticise the board for, and we've done so yesterday. But they do stay away from the training ground, so I think they do allow the manager his space. I think probably the biggest problem is the selection of players. But having said that, I think Slav has been allowed to select some players. I think in terms of being thrown under a bus, I think he's been treated like he was the 5th choice. So if you remember, we were after the fella Emery from Sevilla, who had been winning lots of European trophies with Sevilla and doing really well with them. And we made an approach for Klopp. Remember? We actually went for Klopp. But he had left Dortmund. He was on a sabbatical, taking a bit of time out, clearly waiting for the right club. We weren't the right club we approached. He said no. You can't imagine that they would have treated their 1st or 2nd choice, or even Benitez, in the way that Bilic has been. Bielsa's another one, but he was a madman, isn't he? But they, he might punched him or something. But I think these are savvy businessmen. They've brought up. They've not just been successful in one business, several businesses. I think I just don't think they would have treated the top choice in a way. I don't think they ever got away with it with Klopp. I don't think you get away with it with Benitez. But I think Kos Bilic, not only was he 5th choice, he took a lot less money, lower than half what Allardyce was on. He was also grateful for the job as well. And I think when you feel like you're doing somebody a favour, particularly in that, you're probably treating them slightly differently. Whereas if they'd have got Klopp or they'd have got Benitez, they probably would have felt that they were being done a favour. So the respect level is already there. I think as far as Benitez is concerned, though, he might want to. He's unhappy at Newcastle because he's unhappy with the way that Mike Ashley runs the club. He probably needs to look at it a little bit now and think, well, hold on a second, maybe he wouldn't be coming here and getting everything he wants either. So I think the selection of players is a big one. So was Bilic given everything he needed to survive and to flourish? No, but I also don't think if tomorrow we gave Bilic a new contract and said to him, right, here is not an open checkbook, but here, you know, we'll get you your Cavalier, we'll get you a couple of other players. Here is a 3-year contract. We want you to be able to feel that you can develop youngsters without the pressure of getting the sack, and we want you to play in the style. I still don't think he would manage it. I still think he would stumble over formations. He would not be sure and positive and decisive in the way he selected his teams. Earlier on, you said the word substitute, and I sort of preempted what you said. I thought you were going to say he couldn't substitute, but you were saying you can't substitute one quality for another. And I was nodding, so you're saying he can't substitute. Oh, that's what you were saying. He can't substitute in games. It's another managerial skill that he's lacking. I think he's lacking so many of the fundamental managerial skills that, unfortunately, just being a nice guy and being a motivator and knowing a little bit is just not good enough.
Yeah, I just think he's had a hard time, and I just worry the next manager's going to have a hard time. Because if you go back, Allardyce had a hard time with Sullivan, and before that, Grant, no, he was a crap manager. But Avram Grant got done over by this board as well, big time, when they were trying to replace him when he still had a job. I'm just not convinced that they can all play under the board. Like you said, how can Benitez possibly look at this and go, yeah, I'll take that, given he's got very similar problems at Newcastle already. It's a little bit strange. But what I will say, there needs to be change though. I mean, Saturday was bad, really, really bad on Saturday. The players weren't even budging their arse at any point. They weren't even moving. They were literally just standing still. Now, of course, the players need to take some responsibility. I mean, where's their own? I know people say Bilic can't motivate them for a game. I don't buy into this. For me, the manager shouldn't have to motivate players for a game. I struggle to see why your manager, if a player does not get motivated by a manager, they just don't go out and perform. I don't buy that at all. Like, where's your pride? Where's your professionalism? It's your job. You know, all we do is ask you to turn up for 90 minutes a week to perform, and you can't even do that unless your manager's motivating you. I get you need it to an extent, but I don't believe it's the end all be all. But on Saturday, it doesn't add up though, because at Southampton, everyone was saying they fought back from 2-0 down with 10 men. Bilic can't have lost in dressing room. A week later, we're 3-0 down. Everyone's standing still looking around each other. Now we're all saying, well, he has lost in dressing room. There's something funny going on in that dressing room. I think he's lost some players. And I think the big question is who, and how influential are those players on the other players type thing. Because there's definitely something not right in that change room. I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced. I don't know who.
Yeah, well, it's got to be difficult. It's not like managing, you know, a team at work. It's not like me having to manage a group of guys that have a plaster and a chippy and all the rest of it. When you know you can be best mates with those guys, even though you're paying their wages. It's fine. It's different to that because there's such a disparity. Mate, you're dealing with people who wear £22,000 watches to work. Do you know what I mean? How on earth are you going to be motivated? You know, crikey, my last 10 holidays probably don't come to £22,000. It's, you know what I mean? It's a ridiculous amount of money to only wrist. And there's just so many of these players now. That's a big thing. And a lot of managers say it. How do you motivate a multi-millionaire? Only in that field of work do the employees earn more than the employer, so to speak. And I know employers are the wrong word, but you know, no way you wouldn't go into a shop and find the person on the sales floor is earning more than the till man, the cashier's manager, or whatever the case may be. And that's why it's not just a money thing, but there's a hierarchy and there's a scale. So you know you get instant respect in that sense because you know who's the boss. I mean, I don't think that particularly helps him, but I do think we're scratching around. Even if he had lost a few players, I don't think there's anything that he can do to go in and turn it around, because what he needs to do is lift the spirits. And I don't think there's anything he can do to walk in there whenever the players are back, they've had a break, whatever, whenever they get back or they are back. What is he going to do? Does he have one more motivational speech left in the bag? Probably not. He probably hasn't got anything else to say that he hasn't said before. It would be a miracle if we went on a run winning games, because I can't see how he could lift that mood. And like I said yesterday, I don't think it's going to be a particularly pleasant place to go in and work at the moment.
I think Huddersfield is a huge, huge seesaw here. If we win, suddenly the next few games are winnable. West Brom away becomes winnable. If you beat Huddersfield, West Brom away is winnable. You get something there. Spurs at home, very, very winnable. We've seen what we've done the last 2 years at home. They're not in the great form themselves either. After that, I think we put the likes of Swansea, Brighton, winnable fixtures. So we can go on a run, but I think it all comes down to Huddersfield, because if we lose that, suddenly West Brom becomes, we're going to get beat there. Then Spurs at home, we're probably going to get beat. Huddersfield is massive. I think it's a 90 minutes that can define Bilic. It's a 90 minutes that can define the season. See, I think miracles do happen. I think I want Bilic to turn it around. I hope he does. I can't see how he's going to do it, but he needs to get points on the board ASAP. And I still think the one thing that can save him is the League Cup. But the problem is, League Cup, the final 8 until February, I don't think he's got that long. He needs to be very comfortable. However, if he was to somehow win a cup or get to the final, it'd be very difficult for the board to get rid of a manager that's just taking West Ham to win. It would be very, very difficult. But it's going back to the players, though. I'm not convinced. The H list, I've said this before. Have you read any of his blogs recently? The H list.
Why, what is it?
He's the best West Ham blogger by an absolute country mile out there. The H list.
Where does he write?
He's got his own website, but he also and he's at Mother Brown features blogs as well. By far, the best West Ham blogger. I look forward to his blogs.
You've spoken about him before. Yeah, you have spoken about him before. Yeah,
absolutely fantastic, well written stuff. But anyway, his last one, or the one previous, was he was interpreting what David Gold has said about the transfer strategy, about how Slaven Bilic has the final say. And Slaven Bilic gives David Sullivan a list of names about who he wants. The H list was saying, how is this possible? Our manager is a manager. He's also in charge of training. He's got a young kid. He's got a hip operation. He's now our chief scout. So H list is trying to say, have we really given Slaven Bilic responsibility of absolutely everything in the club? He has got the responsibility of everything, including chief scout. And he's trying to say, has he ever gone to America to watch an MLS game and scout a striker? No, of course he hasn't. So how are we supposed to throw everything at his door? And I just feel that is what is happening with Bilic. And I think that's where he's getting a tough gig from the board. I think everything's been laid at his doorstep. And I think sometimes when there's a player that's successful, it's somehow David Sullivan's choice. Oh, it was David Sullivan signing him. But when a player's not successful, it's Slaven Bilic's fault. And that's what I don't like. That's the one thing I don't like. In all honesty, there shouldn't be all this who signed who. It should be a case of we, West Ham United, we, Henry Sullivan and Bilic, we have signed this player, we have signed that player. If it works, we all get credit. If it doesn't work, we all take the stick for it. It should be a team game. But there's no people are talking about the cohesion, lack of cohesion at Newcastle and in the team. That's true. There's also a massive lack of cohesion off the pitch. And I think that's even more troubling because we've got cracks all over the club right now. Will Rafa Benitez fix those cracks? Maybe for a short while. But the thing with Bilic came in, he sorted that short term. We started playing good football, started playing winning football, started playing fearless. Everybody was loving it. We were still conceding goals, but people did not care because we're winning games. But the cracks eventually came back again. Bilic could only paper them up for so long. I think the same thing will happen with the next manager. They'll paper over the cracks for so long, but eventually they'll be exposed again. I think there's big problems at our club right now. I think the dressing room is one of them. I don't know who, but I find it weird that our captain has been subbed off in 2 of the games so far, one of which he was playing well in, and he also had to play 90 minutes against Cheltenham in the League Cup when usually you would rest your captain. So I don't know. This is my own opinion. I've not heard anything. I just think there's something funny.
But I said that I have the review, the end of season review, or one of a video we've done within the last few months. I remember saying on it that I thought Bilic wasn't afraid to sub and drop Noble. I've always had that. I think he's shown little things like that. I've seen him bring him off before when it's quite a brave thing to do to take your captain off. I think, and I don't mean like John Terry was at Chelsea last season, where he's a club captain. you know, I mean, when someone is actually your on the field captain. John Terry wasn't Chelsea's captain last season. He was official club ambassador. You know what he does? He don't play in the games. He goes to lift the cup and he puts his shirt on. That's John Terry, isn't it? But nobody's actually a proper footballer, and he plays. So I think when you have a proper footballer, it's a very, very brave thing to do, to take your caps off. And he's never, ever been afraid to do it. So I don't actually see that anything's changed, and particularly with how bad the midfield have been. What I did think it was strange that he allowed Cullen to go out, though, bearing in mind how poor the midfield have been. That was a strange decision. Again, whose decision was that? You'd have to think. If Bilic rated him, he'd have been able to persuade whoever loaned him out to keep him on. I don't know. All this whose player is it and all the rest of it, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not sure he's been put in charge of head scouting or anything like that. I in many respects, I think it might well be the opposite, that he has not allowed enough input on signings rather than him being given the responsibility to sign them all. I actually always thought it was the other way, but who knows? Just I think he's a dead man walking.
Do you want him to be sacked? Not. We both think he's past the point of no return. We both agree on that. I think most West Ham fans think that too now. Do you want to see him sacked still?
As a person, no, but where we stand as a club, yes. And when I say sacked, I don't want anything nasty to happen to him. I don't want to see him leave the club booed. I don't want to see the fans turning on him. It's just his time is up, and it's a sad thing to see. You know, do you know what I mean? I don't want to see this nastiness. I just think it's time to go, and I don't want to see this 4-game thing either. What I don't want to do is see us, if we were to lose to Huddersfield. We spoke earlier, and you know, we're not sure how long he's got left. I think he might get to Huddersfield. Okay, I just think would they not have done it by now? I think they would have done, unless Rafa becomes available or something that is too tempting. We were having a private chat earlier, myself and Geo were, and I think if that happened, then yeah, they get rid of him. Otherwise, I think he's at Huddersfield. What I don't want to see is if he loses to Huddersfield, them sticking to their self-imposed rules by saying, "Oh, well, we said we'll give him 4 games, and we'll give him 4." Listen, if he loses to Huddersfield, you can't carry on. I hate using the terms. It's like an animal term or an animal that's terminally ill, but he needs putting out of his misery in that sense, you know?
I think something has to change. That's the worrying thing for me, because the obvious answer is Bilic, unfortunately. It's the obvious answer. The board ain't going anywhere. They need to change as well. That's a different thing. A new board could come in, but we've still got a manager who gets his tactics wrong quite often, and gets his subs wrong quite often, and pisses off quite a lot of first-team players, unfortunately. But that happens at a lot of clubs, so we've seen it in bigger scales, like Villarreal when he went to Chelsea. He fell out with Drogba, Lampard and Terry within a week. You know, there is bigger scales of it happening. But sometimes a manager falling out with players is a sign of authority, if anything. You know, you disagree with me, fine, I'll just boot you out of the club. Fergie was the best example after it. He was not afraid to ship out Beckham, Keane, etc. He got rid of them. You question me, you come too big, you get out of this club straight away. I keep the club level head, I keep the squad on their toes and stuff. Authority is not a bad thing sometimes, but it is a bit worrying how often it's happened for years. But something has to change. I think we've missed the point to sack him, if that makes sense. I think the point to sack him, if we were going to sack him, was the following day after Newcastle, so that if they really wanted to, they could have got their checkbook out, used 10 million or whatever it is of the transfer kitty to go get their next manager, whether it's Benitez or whoever. They could have went up to them and said, right, here's how much are you wanting for your manager? You come down, you've got 3 days, here's X amount of million, go get 2 or 3 players of your choice, whatever. But we waited. And I think they've conveniently waited for the transfer window to shut and say, well, we never spent any money because Bilic didn't want anyone. It's a bit too convenient. And then I think we've missed the point to sack him now, because the squad we've got, I've seen tonight, we've confirmed our squad tonight. Donnell Henry is in the squad. He's not even playing for the under-23s. When was the last time he kicked a football?
Well, he's been injured for a long, long time.
He's never going to feature. But we've had to name him in the squad. That's how light our squad is. Doesn't matter who comes in. Their options up front are Hernandez and 2 injury-prone strikers. Now, I don't get what they've done. They've gambled here. They're gambling on a lot of things. They're gambling on one Bilic turning it around, and if he doesn't turn it around, they're gambling on them attracting such a good manager he can work with the very basics. You're asking a guy to come in, give him matchsticks, and ask for some nice big fancy tower out of them. You know, it's going to take a long, long time, and it's very, very risky. But I think you have to give him Huddersfield. But the problem is, if he wins Huddersfield, how many games does he go after that? Does he get the rest of his 3 games? But then if he wins those 2, does he get the third? You know, I'm with you. You should never say you've got 4 games. It's a bit daft because you don't know the circumstances. You know, we could scrape against Huddersfield. We could win 1-0, but sit in our own box for 90 minutes, booting the ball away like we did against Hull and Burnley at the end of the end of the calendar year when the post got man of match from one of them. We could play like that. You're telling me we keep him because we won a game, but yeah, no, we shouldn't. But I want to see him succeed. There's a part of me that's clinging on to the fact that in that first year, our fitness was fantastic. How many times did we snatch a point or 3 points in the very last 5 minutes of the game or something? There was no complaint, but something's changed in the fitness. Our players are blown out of their arse, and Noble's complaining they're knackered after 3 games of the season. What the hell? How's that happened?
Well, do you know what? I've got to say, Noble's saying that he's not the only one. Because I woke up this morning, and, you know, in a big old sigh. I don't feel like it's the start of the season. I don't feel like we're in a season where we only just had a home game. I feel tired, mate. I feel tired of the West Ham roller coaster. It's absolutely ridiculous. People keep saying circus. What a great name. Yeah. What a great name it is. You know, I couldn't think of anything better. I am tired and weary of it all. You know?
Yeah.
Really.
I think a lot of people are, and I think Huddersfield is going to be huge for a lot of reasons, board, players and manager and fans really. I think it could turn toxic pretty quickly. It's toxic right now on social media.
It is. Well, listen, you say about Huddersfield, I'm looking forward to going and seeing the boys at Huddersfield. A lot of lads we've not seen over the summer. Resume and you know, resume with them, have a good chat, have a good laugh, have a good drink, and you meet all your mates at the football. I tell you what. Am I looking forward to walking in the stadium and that first whistle blowing? I'm not so sure.
No, I know what you mean. It's nervous, really. It makes me nervous because no one knows what's coming, atmosphere-wise, player effort-wise, Bilic tactics-wise. I mean, all it takes is for him to name Fernandes and Ayew, and he's starting 11, and an hour before kickoff, the atmosphere is disgruntled, if you like. Let's start wrapping this one up then, because we said this one would be a reasonably short one. We've been waffling for half an hour now. I suppose just give us your final thoughts on Bilic, if you like. And you've already said you want him, you think he should go and stuff, but just give us your final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and you stop yourself from saying it. And sacked does sound so harsh, and we like him. I mean, unlike Sam Allardyce, you could have used any terminology you wanted with Sam Allardyce. Sam Allardyce, not a nice man, did not like him, did not endear himself to the fans, didn't get the club. Was so spiky that the time he spoke about Bobby Moore, he spoke about him being a Fulham player. Oh, I mean, I detest the man. Nasty, nasty geezer. Honestly, I couldn't stand him. This is different. You know, you do feel sorry for him. He does get the club. He does understand the fans. I don't want a last memory of him being the fans turning on him at a game, because even though he's a big man, but if you meet him, he's a very softly spoken. He's a tall man. Big, everyone's tall to me, but he's sort of, he's hunched over and he's softly spoken. People would have to turn their mics right up when they interview him, by the way. He's the most quietly, softly spoken man. And you don't want to see him. He's a gentleman, and you don't want to see him suffer. And I don't think I could. I mean, it'd really be horrible to see him hunched, with his shoulders hunched, trudging off the pitch as the fans get on his back. I'd hate to see. I don't want it to come to that. He needs to be put out of his misery, mate, and we need to start afresh. And we need something else, and hopefully, was it Tom said yesterday, he's got a young kid, he's got a hip operation. Mate, he'll have a couple, he'll have 2 or 3 million quid in the bank from his West Ham adventure, whatever. He needs to go off and have a bit of a life, and, you know what I mean? That's what I wished for him. But we are West Ham fans. We are stuck with a club. He's not. We need to carry on, and we need to get some points on the board.
I'm still sticking with him for now. I'm in 2 minds, though, because something needs to change, and Bilic is the obvious answer. This can't go on. But at the same time, I sort of support Bilic's on life support now, if you like. I'm like an intensive care mate. You need to come and help me out here a little bit, because if we lose against Huddersfield, you might as well just flick that machine off. But I don't think the fans will turn on Bilic unless it's bad against Huddersfield. I don't think they'll turn on it. I have seen a lot of people saying what you're saying. You know, I hope nobody starts calling and this and that and this and that. I've seen very, very little. There's obviously a few people that say stuff. I've seen very,
and that's why you say it. You are right. 99% wouldn't, but you do see those one or two who say no, and you think, oh no, don't do that.
I've seen very few people say harsh things towards Bilic. Most people are saying what you're saying. He's given 100%. There's no questions about his characters. He's just unfortunately not up to the job, and that's a fair comment. I can't argue about that anymore. I can't say you're wrong. It's just I'm just loyal to the manager. I'm just pro giving managers time in general and letting them build a long-term project. But the problem is our long-term project's out the window, and this season is very much a next 10 months project, and it's as simple as that, because there's trouble on the horizon if we don't start picking it up. And unfortunately, it's Bilic that's next on the line. But anyway, you guys have been watching. Let us know what you think. Should Bilic get sacked, or should he walk, actually? A lot of people are saying they think Slav should walk with his health held high. Say, you know what, I'm not working under this anymore. I'm out of here, which is the amicable thing to do. However, he would lose out on a couple of million quid or something, so it's unlikely. But also subscribe if you're new around here, and like the video if you enjoyed it. Sorry it's been downbeat, but we've got to talk about it. A lot of people have been asking me what I think, since I've been really pro Slav in the past. So, but it's a case of when and not if, isn't it, Gonzo? I think we can agree on that.
We can. And do you know what? As a club, why are we always firefighting? We are always fighting a fire. Why can't it be smooth? How lovely was that last season at Bowling? It seemed so perfect. Honestly, it's been like an oasis, a watery green oasis in the middle of a flaming desert. We're due some good luck, surely.
Yeah. Well, it does look like it's a case of when and not if. But anyway, that's been Gonzo. I've been Geo. We're not going anywhere. We're not getting sacked. We're not resigning, unfortunately. You're stuck with us. So subscribe, and we'll catch you later.